Air Canada Flight 797, the crash that changed aviation safety forever. On June 2, 1983, Air Canada Flight 797, a DC-932, was a scheduled flight from Dallas to Montreal. The flight left Dallas with 41 passengers and 5 crew on board. At 33,000 feet, the cabin crew discovered a fire in the aft lavatory. The flight crew declared an emergency and carried out an emergency descent to land at Cincinnati Airport. The pilot landed the aircraft, and the fire department was ready to start the firefighting operations. When the airplane stopped, the occupants began evacuating the aircraft, while fire department personnel moved into place and began firefighting operations. About 60 to 90 seconds after the exits were opened, a flash fire enveloped the interior of the aircraft. 23 of the 41 passengers were unable to exit the aircraft and died in the fire. An investigation revealed that 3 flush motor circuit breakers had tripped about 11 minutes before smoke was detected. The captain misconstrued reports that the fire was abating when he received conflicting fire progress reports from the cabin crew. 18 passengers and 3 cabin crew exited the aircraft through the exits and slides. Both the flight crew exited through the cockpit's sliding windows. The NTSB determined that it was a survivable accident. Many new regulations, which are considered to be golden rules of aviation even today, were born because of this crash. New Rule 1. Lavatory smoke detectors, Varig Airlines. Boeing 707 crashed in the year 1973 due to the eruption of fire in the rear lavatory, in which 124 persons died. The NTSB recommended early detection of fire on all transport category aircraft by installing smoke detectors. The FAA only recommended prohibiting smoking inside the lavatory, and issued an airworthiness directive requiring the installation of no smoking and no cigarette disposal signs or placards inside the lavatories. This is why we see the placards inside the aircraft lavatories, even today. The FAA didn't recommend the installation of smoke detectors in the lavatories due to the potential for false alarms. However, after this Air Canada crash, the NTSB insisted on the installation of smoke detectors inside the lavatories. In the year 1985, the FAA issued a final rule requiring the installation of a smoke detector in each lavatory. New Rule 2. Fire extinguishers. After this Air Canada crash, the NTSB recommended a built-in fire extinguisher for each disposal receptacle. Upon fire detection, the extinguisher should be designed to discharge automatically. The FAA implemented this requirement in the year 1985 and allowed for embodiment from the year 1987. In addition, the NTSB also recommended increasing the quantity of handheld fire extinguishers and having a minimum of 2 fire extinguishers with Agent Halon 1211. This is why we see Halon 1211 fire extinguishers all over the aircraft. New Rule 3. Emergency exit lights. It was determined after this accident that exit marking signs and illumination were not sufficient for a smoke-filled cabin. Some passengers stated that they were only able to escape by having memorized the number of rows between their seats and the exit, and then counting the rows by feeling the seat backs as they moved to the exit. New performance standards were set for floor proximity emergency escape path marking to provide visual guidance for emergency cabin evacuation when all sources of cabin lighting more than 4 feet above the aisle floor are totally obscured by smoke. If you remember this statement in the safety briefing video, lights at floor level will lead you to the nearest exit. The requirement originated from this crash. New Rule 4. Seat cushion flammability. The NTSB recommended establishing a new flammability requirement for seat cushions used in transport category aircraft, since it was suspected that the polyurethane cushions used contributed to the propagation of fire inside the aircraft cabin. It was due to this crash that the FAA introduced the fire-blocking layer concept for the seat cushions, and the combination burn test was added for passenger seats on aircraft. However, the flight crew seats were exempted as seat comfort has a significant impact on flight crew performance and efficiency. Aviation regulations have always evolved to precisely address the root causes of accidents and incidents that occur during operations. This is what makes air transport the safest mode of transport.